Happy holidays. Since everything is always so serious, I wanted to share a more lighthearted video with you from this year. Remember when I took a trip down memory lane, etc., etc.? So I've so enjoyed all the memories you and our community have made with us this year, all the people writing in, all the questions, all the feedback, all the validation, and all the stories of you guys standing up for yourselves and protecting your freedoms. And all the people who have protected their wealth with the proper gold and silver strategies with us here at ITM Trading. Thanks to everyone for all your support and engagement this year. I appreciate you. So here's a lighthearted trip down memory lane, my childhood upbringing in Kingston, New York, and of course from Oliver too. Enjoy. This is the bank, my first bank job, I'll say that. And I was 15 years old here. It wasn't Citizens Bank then. It was Kingston Savings and Loan back then. And this is it. This is where my banking career started. Schneider's Jewelers, look. That's the... This is where I learned to love jewelry. I used to come here almost every weekend when I was little, and my mother would make my sister take us uptown, and she wanted to hang out with her friends. She definitely did not want me around, so I would come to the Senate House. First state capitol. Look at how old all of this is. This is definitely, it's pre-Revolutionary War. I think this used to be a shoe store where I used to buy shoes. Pretty sure. This used to be the Kingston Tea Garden where I had my first waitressing job way back when, but it's not here anymore. It is a marketplace and eatery, but it is not. Look it up there, look at the detail. Victorian building. This is gorgeous.
What's the name again?
Well, it used to be a grocery store. It's now Gerald Salente's office. But it used to be a grocery store, and this is where I would come and get my melons and cottage cheese, which I've talked about. Oh, it's so good to see you. Oh, I really am happy to be here.
I used to come here when the gallows ended, so that was probably after you left.
Yeah, because I left in '72.
Yeah, they didn't get it till like '78.
Isn't that fun? I mean, it just is. I'm so glad you bought it.
Yeah, we're standing right here.
Look at it. Yeah.
That's where the pizza oven is in the back over there. So the whole place was gutted when I bought it.
This is fantastic. Isn't it?
And you saw the gardens and the other buildings over there?
No, we just got here, so we just...
So this is...
Isn't this gorgeous in here? Look at your tomatoes.
A month ago they were this big. Oh, look at the peppers are right here.
Oh yeah, nice.
And look what you're looking at over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at these stone buildings.
Kingston, when it was the first capital in New York State, over 70% of America's Constitution comes from the Constitution that was written there. Yeah. John Jay. Yeah, that John Jay was a judge over there. I mean, the people there have no idea what they have. That's why I own what I own. Nobody wanted these when I had them. I own 3 of them.
Oh, I thought you owned all 4.
No, that's the museum that's mostly closed. This is 1763. I bought this in foreclosure. And I'm not a real estate guy. I bought them for what they represent. And I just gave her total freedom to do what she wanted.
Oh,
and this is what she created.
And that's, you know, once you give an artist freedom,
didn't tell
it's
her
amazing.
anything to do.
Yep.
But look at it. Look, you're in another world.
It is So phenomenal. So nostalgic. You know, when you grow up in a place like this, I mean, yeah, you know it's pretty, but I don't think you really appreciate what it is. Now, as an adult, I can appreciate what it is. That's the house I was born into, and I lived there until I was 6. We used to have a lot more stained glass. You can still see some on the bottom. And it's got 3 stories. My parents had to borrow the $50 they had to put down. That's not how much the house cost, right, but that's how much they had to borrow to buy it. I played in that house, and the backyard is really amazing, and it slopes down. That was my bedroom, the one with the light. And you can see it actually used to have a balcony. And there's a breezeway, and one time our dog got sprayed with a skunk, and we put him in the breezeway, and then we threw tomato juice on him. On both sides, It just feels so good, really, to be here. It feels great to be here. It's like you can't even tell you, as a child, you know, how much time I spent in this neighborhood up until I was 6. And then my mom had a baby 4 years after me. She couldn't walk the stairs anymore, and that's why we moved. And she cried because she loved this house. This is the high school. My father would donate the Christmas tree every year from his land. So that's the library. I spent a lot of time in the library. And then that's the courthouse, where occasionally when I would skip class, I would go over and listen to the court cases because it was really interesting. So this is where I went to high school. So this is the house that I grew up in. My father built it. We moved in when I was 6 years old. It's a 60-year-old house. I used to, when I would come back from dates and we would park in the driveway, my father would go to the front door, flash the lights on and off, then go to the bay window, that's the kitchen, and flash the lights on and off, and then finally to that little window there, which is over the sink, and flash the lights on and off. And then when I would finally get out of the car and go in, he'd go, "Oh, I didn't know you were home," which he totally knew that I was home when we did that. So this is the house I grew up in and lived in from the time I was 6 years old until I went away to college when I was 17, and came back here, you know, a few times after that, but basically, you know, that was it. So that's the house I grew up in that my father built. One of them. Now we're going to go to the development that I talk about, because I do talk about him as a developer. And you'll see the other houses that he built. This is Lynette Boulevard, which is named after me because my father named all of the streets after his children. Nice to meet you.
My wife will be coming down as soon as I can find her.
Absolutely. I haven't been in this house in 60 years. This foyer used to seem so much bigger to me. But that's the grate that I cracked my head open on. Right there. My sister had a new bike and I rode it, and I didn't know how to ride the bike, so I fell over. And these are, yes, look at the stained glass there. I remember my mother standing on that landing Just crying and crying and crying. Oh my goodness. My mother loved this house. I remember she borrowed, it's a gorgeous house. She borrowed $50 from her sister so that they could buy this house. I can still see my mother, I would have been 4, and I can still see my mother standing on that landing just crying and crying. She was so sorry to leave this house. I know.
And you said she left because she couldn't handle the stairs.
Yeah, the doctor said she cannot. So, I mean, this is just, I haven't been in here in 60 years. It's like, it's just amazing. And look at all this woodwork. It's beautiful. And I always wanted a Victorian house because of this house. And there's also the back stairs, those hidden stairs, right? There's,
You mean these?
yes, I remember that. Which I always thought was very cool. And then the basement, which is where my brother Steven used to do his experiments. And my mother would say, get your brother for dinner. Nobody wanted to go down there because it was so creepy because he did all these experiments. So we'd stand at the top of the stairs and go, Steven, look at this. This is so gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much for letting us come in. We live in Phoenix. Oh, I kind of, all right. I mean, it was a little.
Now, I think this may have been redone since you were here. The people between us did quite a bit of redoing.
Then they probably did, and I remember this backyard and going down the hill. I mean, this is just that I do, really just enjoying, you know, being here. And I always did want a Victorian house because of this house. Isn't this wonderful? And I remember the sofa, the Victorian sofa, which my sister Beth Ellen still has the chairs that went with that sofa that was in this room.
Oh, cool.
So she still has those.
It's on the corner of the four corners.
This is phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Hollyhocks.
Of course. I have hollyhocks in my yard, but they're not as tall as those.